Sophia started to struggle again, but it was useless. No, stop it, you creep. Her rational mind knew this was wrong. She was being harassed. Her mother would be furious if she found out. She had no idea what the movie was about. When Chloe occasionally leaned over to discuss the plot, she couldn't really hear her, just mumbled a few non-committal ahas. In the darkness, she turned her head slightly, her eyes pleading with him to let go. But Leo was staring at the screen, looking completely engrossed in the film. Helpless, Sophia turned her gaze back to the screen. If Mom finds out about this, there'll be trouble. There was only one thing to do. She had to keep it a secret. For over an hour, Sophia didn't register a single frame of the movie. Her mind was a dizzying fog. It wasn't until the credits rolled and the demonic hand released hers that she let out a sigh of relief, which was immediately followed by a strange sense of loss. By the time the movie ended, Leo had gathered detailed data on the dimensions of her delicate hand. He hadn't pushed his luck by invading other territories, focusing solely on his captured prize. Best not to overdo it. As they walked out of the theater, Sophia tugged on her friend's arm. Chloe, let's go home. I just remembered I have something to do. Huh? We're leaving already? Don't you want to shop around? And why is your face so red? Chloe asked, confused. They had planned to spend the afternoon at the mall. It was probably just too hot in there. Maybe next time, okay? Sophia said, her expression calm, but inside she was squirming. She felt sticky and uncomfortable, and a dreadful thought crossed her mind. Did I get my period? Okay, sure, Chloe agreed. The two said goodbye to Leo and Ben and left. Women are so weird, Ben said. Leo, my man, let's go shoot some pool. He found pool much more interesting than movies. Leo glanced at Sophia's retreating figure. She was walking with her legs held just a little too close together, and felt a pang of guilt. Yeah, okay, he agreed. Deep in his subconscious, two little figures were arguing. One was named Guilt, the other Awesome. Guilt said, You're a creep, taking advantage of an innocent girl. Awesome said, It's called revenge. A gentleman always gets his revenge. They threw their arms around each other's shoulders and headed for the pool hall on the 5th floor. Downstairs, just as Sophia and Chloe stepped out of the mall, they ran into Trevor Miller again. He was with a group of other young men and women, all dressed in trendy, logo-emblazoned brand-name clothes. They reeked of money. Sophia. Trevor's heart soared. They were done already? They must not have had a good time. Of course not. What fun could you have with two broke losers? Sophia was a bit out of it. Only Chloe glanced at him, waved goodbye, and then the two of them hurried toward the street to hail a cab. Trevor was deeply disappointed, but he did notice that Sophia's running posture was a little strange. She probably had a pee. Trevor, who was that? The pretty one, asked a young man in an Armani t-shirt and a gold chain, his fluffy hair dyed blonde. Oh, a classmate. School beauty. And a friend of mine, Trevor said, casually attaching the label to himself. Think you could introduce us? The Armani youth asked with a sleazy grin. The others chimed in, egging him on. No way, I wouldn't dare. Don't even think about it. Her dad is that guy in the city, Trevor said, holding up one finger to signify the #1 official. What's the big deal? It's just a friendly pursuit. We can all hang out, right? The Armani youth looked surprised, but wasn't deterred. In fact, he seemed intrigued. Bagging the daughter of the city's top official would be a major score. If only it were that simple, Trevor said with a wry smile. He held up one finger again and lowered his voice. Her uncle is a big shot at the state level. The Armani youth's expression changed instantly, and he dropped the subject. That was a government department to be feared, especially the #1 person in it. Given the nature of his family's business, it was best to stay as far away as possible. 20 minutes later, Sophia was home. She rushed to her room, took off her underwear, and stared in disbelief. She changed into a clean pair, quickly washed the soiled one, and then turned on her computer. She Googled the source of her inner turmoil. The search results left her stunned, then mortified, her face burning with shame. So embarrassing. How could this happen? She stared at the screen for a few more seconds, then couldn't bear to look anymore. She stumbled over to her bed, fell onto it, covered her face, and curled into a ball, her body feverish. The image of his smiling face, those two teasing winks, and the scene from the movie theater flashed through her mind. A tremor ran through Sophia, from her body to her very soul. That person is so bad. She swore fiercely to herself, biting her lip. I'm never, ever watching a movie with him again. It was official. She was definitely sick. The Westwood Apartments. After dinner, Leo plugged the new Ethernet cable into his laptop. He eagerly opened it, but his enthusiasm quickly faded. His 2010-era laptop was only marginally faster than a snail. Still, it was good enough for browsing websites and using QQ Messenger. He had a friend request. He opened it. Who is Verneuse? The request came from a group chat. He checked the class group. It was Sophia. He accepted. He tried to add her before, but she never responded. After accepting, he didn't say anything. Instead, he focused on researching the World Cup, trying to jog his memory of the match results. It was nearly midnight before he finally shut down the computer, rubbing his tired eyes. A silent grin spread across his face. His memory had yielded results. Not many, but enough to build his initial capital. It was 2010. Starting a business from scratch was a pipe dream. His only hope was to use the small bits of information he could recall from the future to make some money. He couldn't remember a single lottery number, and even if he could, it wouldn't help. The only fixed results he could bet on were from the World Cup. He only had $200 in cash. He'd given all the graduation money to his mom, not daring to ask for any of it back. She would have demanded a reason, and she would never approve of gambling. The next morning, he took his money to a small convenience store that also ran a sports betting pool. With the World Cup in full swing, the place was packed. Most people were betting on wins, losses, or draws, but Leo only bet on the total number of goals in a single match. Specifically, the June 27th match, Germany versus England. The odds were 16-1. If his memory was correct, the final score was 4-1, for a total of 5 goals. He put all $2,000 down. A small seed of doubt sprouted in his mind. What if the butterfly effect had changed the outcome? If it had, he'd just have to accept his bad luck and figure out how to explain to his parents that he wasn't a degenerate gambler. In this era, betting $2,000 on the World Cup wasn't a huge deal. Some people were dropping tens of thousands, so no one paid him much mind. The store owner looked at him with pity and offered a friendly warning. Betting on total goals is a long shot, kid. It's all luck. I'm just guessing for fun. If I don't win, I'll stop, Leo said with a goofy, harmless smile. The owner shook his head and printed out the betting slip. Leo carefully tucked it into his pocket. He went home and waited, agonizingly, until 10 o'clock on the night of the 27th, when the match began. Leo was completely engrossed. So nervous he didn't even drink a sip of water until it was all over. Germany 4, England 1. Yes, I remember correctly. Leo pumped his fist in excitement. At 16-1 odds, his $200 had just become $3,200. A single win under $10,000 wasn't subject to taxes. He'd get to keep the full amount. He was rich. Leo was thrilled. Now, when was Germany's next match? He opened the notebook where he'd jotted down his memories. July 3 RD. The night Leo was watching the game, a conversation was taking place in the Hayes household. Helen Hayes, a stern-looking, middle-aged woman with short hair and glasses, was speaking to her daughter. Is there something on your mind lately? You can tell me. Of course. I'm just thinking about starting college, Sophia said, her heart fluttering with anxiety, but her face remained calm. She knew her mother too well. This kind of sit-down conversation meant she'd noticed something. Helen observed her daughter's expression, then changed the subject. That boy who came in second in the county, Leo Foster, is he in your class? She already knew the answer. She'd been the first to know the scores. Yes, Mom. Why? Sophia's heart pounded, but she maintained her composure. But what chance did her simple act have against a woman who had been a high-powered executive for years? Nothing, just curious. What kind of person is he? Helen continued, her tone casual. Well, I don't know him that well. We barely talk. But he seems... Okay. Sophia's mind involuntarily conjured an image of Leo's face, but she quickly suppressed it. Helen's brow furrowed slightly. What school did he apply to? I think Northwood State, too. Did he apply there because you did? What? No. Sophia was so startled, she waved her hands frantically. I really don't talk to him. We're his classmates. I'm in the pre-law program. He's in the business school. They're on opposite sides of campus. They weren't, really, but she had to make them sound far apart. Helen's expression softened slightly. She was silent for a few seconds, then asked abruptly, Are you dating him? What? Sophia froze, her mind racing. Every neuron fired at once. If she answered this wrong, there would be serious trouble. She put on a look of disbelief. How could you think that? Mom, you're being ridiculous. I'm not going to date anyone before my sophomore year, and even if I did, he's not my type. Helen's expression remained neutral, but the suspicion in her eyes faded into a kind of grudging acceptance. Her daughter had always been proud and obedient. If she were to fall for someone, it would be for a truly outstanding young man. After a moment, Helen didn't press further. Fine. There will be many exceptional people in college. Don't rush into a relationship. Observe first. I know, Mom, Sophia said dutifully. And she wasn't lying. They weren't dating. He just held her hand. That didn't count, right? Right, it doesn't count. Besides, That jerk didn't seem to have any interest in her anyway. He hadn't sent her a single message in days. He was such a jerk. She would never, ever date a jerk like that. The next morning, Leo, blissfully unaware of his new jerk label, took his betting slip and ID and headed to the state lottery office in Clearwater City. Linden Creek was too small to have its own claim center. The bus ride took over an hour. With the World Cup going on, the lottery office was bustling. Anyone with a winning ticket over $1,000 had to come here to claim their prize. The process wasn't too complicated. After verifying his ticket, they gave him a cashier's check. In 2010, the Clearwater City Lottery office didn't have an on-site bank for direct deposits. Leo carefully pocketed the check, keeping his hand in his pocket, clutching it tightly, paranoid that some pickpocket might be watching him. In this day and age, everyone knew why people came to the lottery office. It was better to be safe than sorry. The issuing bank was just around the corner. Leo dodged anyone who tried to walk too close to him. He didn't relax his guard even after entering the bank. He opened a new checking account, the kind that could accept transfers from the lottery commission. His hand remained in his pocket, clutching the new debit card. Pickpockets on the bus were common back then. He didn't truly relax until he was back home in his own room. Lying on his bed, Leo waved the debit card in the air, kissing it over and over. "You're my ticket to riches, my friend." Ding, ding, ding. The QQ Messenger notification sound chimed from his laptop. Leo figured it was Ben. He sat down at his desk. But the message was from Verdant Muse. "What are you doing?" In his past life, he learned that when someone asks you, "What are you doing?" the subtext is, "I'm thinking of you." So, Leo replied directly, "Thinking of you?" Then he went back to lying on his bed, grinning at his bank card. Half an hour later, the ding-ding-ding sounded again. Did she reply? Curious, Leo sat back down at his desk. It was a message in the class group chat. It was from Trevor Miller. "Hey everyone, anyone want to go to a bar to watch the World Cup tonight? All drinks on me all night long." Several guys and girls immediately replied, "Count me in. Trevor, at Sophia Hayes, at Chloe Davis. You guys should come." A few other students chimed in. "Yeah, everyone should go. It'll be fun. We'll all be at different colleges soon. It'll be hard to get together." Sophia Hayes, "Thanks, but it's too loud for me." Chloe Davis, "Thanks, I'll pass too." Trevor, "Okay, for everyone who's coming, meet at the Cottonwood Bar at 9 tonight." About a dozen students replied that they would be there. Just then, a male classmate asked, "Trevor, aren't you betting on the World Cup? Did you win?" Trevor, "It's not that easy. I was just playing for fun. Lost over $6,000 yesterday. A friend of mine lost 15. A girl replied with a shocked emoji. "Wow, you guys talk about 6 and 15 grand like it's nothing." Trevor, "Don't even get me started. My dad chewed me out. Said no matter how much money he makes, it's not enough for me to waste." Leo decided to stop reading. There was no point in watching Mr. Elite Crap Miller brag. But then, a message came in from Ben. "Ben Carter, at Leo Foster. Want to go play pool this afternoon?" Leo figured it wouldn't hurt to go out. Leo Foster, at Ben Carter, sure. Meet me downstairs at the mall at 2. At 2 o'clock, Leo arrived at the mall. To his surprise, Ben wasn't alone. Sophia and Chloe were there too, chatting with him. "Leo, man, you're slow," Ben complained. Leo smiled. A real man is never rushed. "Hey, Leo," Chloe greeted him. "Hey, Chloe," Leo replied with a smile, then nodded at Sophia. "Fancy seeing you here." The school beauty was wearing a white t-shirt with a khaki-colored jumper dress, her long, slender calves bare and smooth, radiating youthful charm. She was sipping an iced lemon tea, her expression cool. "Hi," Sophia said, her eyes barely meeting Leo's before quickly darting away. But she could still feel his gaze on her legs. She pretended to watch the traffic on the street, but inside, she was a nervous wreck. His eyes had a distinct, "I want to squeeze them" kind of aggression. "You guys shopping again?" Leo asked, thinking to himself, "Damn, her legs are amazing." "Yeah, nothing better to do," Chloe answered. "All right, well, you guys have fun. We're going to go play some pool. Benny, let's head up." Leo turned to leave. "Shopping? I don't buy it." She wants to tag along. "Okay," Chloe nodded. Ben said his goodbyes and followed Leo. Watching his confident back disappear in a mall, Sophia bit down hard on her straw, her pretty face falling. A wave of indignation washed over her. "He didn't even invite me. Fine. I'm never letting you play with my fingers again," she vowed silently. Chloe was about to ask her friend where she wanted to go when she saw her expression. A light bulb went off in her head. She turned and yelled after the two boys, "Leo, Ben, can you guys take us with you to play pool?" Cole stopped in his tracks. Of course. They want to crash their game. Well, he thought, glancing back at the girls with legs like that, why not? He caught Leo's questioning gaze and gave a slight nod. "Sure, have them join. You heard the man. Let's go," Leo called out, waving the two girls over. Chloe beamed, grabbing her friend's arm. Serena, come on, let's play pool. My legs are killing me from all this walking. Fine. Serena drew out the word, pretending to deliberate before giving a reluctant nod. If you insist. Watching her best friend's expression shift from a carefully constructed pout to a poorly hidden glimmer of excitement, Chloe sighed internally. You're a goner, girl. And if you end up hating me for being the go-between, we're going to have words. She was genuinely curious what kind of spell this Cole guy had cast to turn the cool, collected Serena into this. If her mother, Mrs. Vance, ever found out, yikes, she'd be dead. A two-person game of pool turned into a lively foursome. Serena's presence, in particular, drew the eyes of nearly every guy in the hall. In Linden Creek, her looks were top tier. Cole figured only Jazz could give her a run for her money. Now that they were all playing together, Cole didn't give Serena the cold shoulder, chatting with her as naturally as he did with Chloe. Before long, the game had morphed into a duel between Cole and Serena. Both had a sharp eye for angles and a precise touch, making them evenly matched. By comparison, Leo and Chloe's skills were a wreck, and they soon became spectators. Hey Cole, Leo asked suddenly. You put any money on the World Cup? Sure did. Win or lose? Came out ahead. Nothing crazy, just a few grand, Cole said with a grin. A few grand? You for real? Leo's eyes widened. Which game? He instinctively wanted to disbelieve it, but for some reason, he found himself trusting Cole. Serena and Chloe were stunned, too. A few grand? That was serious money. Chloe was a casual sports bettor and was instantly intrigued. Serena was just along for the ride. She didn't even know what a betting slip looked like. For real. Germany versus England, Cole said, nodding seriously. He wouldn't bring it up himself, but if his boy wanted in, he didn't mind sharing the wealth. A flush crept up Leo's neck, his face taking on the intensity of a gambler who'd just decided to go all in. Dude, you have to let me in on the next one. I'm already down $500. You trust me? You won't blame me if you lose. Cole asked, deliberately grabbing a piece of chalk and working it over his Q-tip. The smooth, deliberate motion made Serena's mind flash back to that day, and she felt a heat rise in her cheeks, her fingertips tingling. Cole continued, and just so you know, I only bet on total goals. It's pure luck. You know me, man. I can take a loss, Leo said, thumping his chest. He pointed at Cole. No regrets if it goes south. All right, I'll hit you up on Facebook Messenger before the next game. Cole smiled. He knew Leo had a gambling streak. Years from now, it would lead to him getting scammed in a bad investment, forcing his family to sell their butcher shop to cover the debt. It wasn't until Cole brought him in on a farm-to-table supply business that he got back on his feet. Chloe wasn't about to be left out. Hey, Cole, don't treat me like a stranger. Count me in. She'd lost over 300 herself, but had been too embarrassed to say anything. You trust me? Cole looked at her, a half-smile playing on his lips. I do, Chloe said. Her inner thought was more pragmatic. You managed to tame the untouchable princess, Serena Vance. Betting on one of your tips seems like a much safer gamble. Fine, you're in. It was the betting site's money, anyway. Free cash for the taking. Thanks, Cole. Chloe beamed. Serena reached into the pocket of her sundress, her fingers fiddling with something inside. She opened her mouth to speak several times, but hesitated. She wanted to ask Cole to place a bet for her, just to feel involved, but his cool expression made her afraid of hearing him say no. The blow to her pride would be too much. Her small fidgeting didn't escape Cole's notice. He glanced over at the school's reigning queen. You want into? A faint blush touched the tips of Serena's ears. She pulled out 5 crisp $20 bills. I don't know how to do it. Could you? Could you do it for me? You won't blame me if it loses, Cole stated, his tone flat. I won't, Serena whispered, shaking her head. So, what's in it for me if you win? Cole gave her a sly wink. You can have half. Serena didn't care about the money. She'd never even tell her mom about this. Nah, don't need it. If you win, you have to take me to a movie. How about it? Cole watched her, his gaze intense and unwavering. Serena froze, the blush on her ears spreading down her neck as her heart hammered against her ribs. This degenerate is definitely up to something. Then a new thought surfaced. So what? I can just say no to whatever he tries, right? It's just a movie, and that's if I even win. Okay, she agreed. Deal. Cole took the bills, tucking them into his pocket with a private smirk. Another chance for a little payback. When their time at the pool hall was up, the 4 of them left them all. On the way out, Leo was practically buzzing. Man, I feel like Serena's totally different now. I was shocked when she came to the movies with us last time. And now, pool? What's going on? Is she? I hadn't noticed. How could you not? She actually agreed to take you to a movie. Alone. Who would even believe that? She was probably just being polite. Yeah, I guess, Leo conceded. No way she'd actually go see a movie alone with you. I'm not even thinking about it. I have another question, though. Why'd she give you the money to place her bet instead of Chloe? Why do you have so many questions? I just feel like something's happening that I don't know about. Back at his apartment, his mom, Sharon, was still out with Jasmine's mom, who was at a doctor's checkup. But Cole heard a noise coming from his room. He pushed the door open. Sure enough, it was Jasmine, typing away on his computer's Facebook Messenger. It wasn't strange that she had a key. Go downstairs and get me an ice cream bar, she ordered without turning around. Okay. Cole obediently headed back downstairs, grabbing one for himself while he was at it. Jasmine was wearing a pale, yellow sundress today, one leg crossed over the other, a high-heeled sandal dangling precariously from her toes as she swung her foot back and forth. Cole unwrapped the ice cream bar and held it out. Jasmine took a bite directly from his hand, not even bothering to take it herself. Her fingers were flying across the keyboard. She didn't have a free hand. Cole was used to it. It had always been like this, him standing there, waiting on his older sister. He snuck a peek at the computer screen. A dozen chat windows were blinking. Most were from guys, but Jasmine was ignoring them all, engrossed in a group chat with a few girls. It was all school gossip and talk about their favorite bands. After finishing the last bite of her ice cream, Jasmine patted her own shoulder. Cole sighed. He should have come home later. Playing servant wasn't enough. Now he had to be her personal masseuse. He quickly finished his own ice cream, then placed his hands on her shoulders and began to knead with just the right amount of pressure. After a few moments of massaging, he glanced down. And just like that, he wasn't tired anymore. Jasmine pointed to a picture of a border collie someone had posted in the chat. Cute, right? Cute, Cole replied automatically. Jasmine turned her head, and her eyes immediately followed his wandering gaze. She looked down at herself, and a deep blush instantly flooded her face. She shot up from the chair, pushing and swatting at him in a flurry of embarrassment and anger. You pervert. What are you looking at? Hey, why are you hitting me again? Cole backed away, not daring to fight back. Because you deserve it. She pushed him all the way to the edge of his bed. With nowhere left to retreat, he tumbled backward onto the mattress. Jasmine clearly wasn't finished. She straddled him, her long legs pinning him down, and viciously pinched the soft tissue on his chest. Ow, ow, ow. Cole yelped, begging for mercy. The searing pain was unbearable, but he didn't dare push her off. Will you do it again? Huh? Will you? She demanded, her face inches from his. Suddenly, she froze, her entire body rigid. Her expression turned strange. After 2 seconds of dead silence, she let out a shriek and scrambled off of him like a startled rabbit. Her face was crimson with a mixture of shame, anger, and panic. You're disgusting. How could you? With your own sister. Before the words had even faded, she bolted from the room. Cole lay there, mortified. That wasn't my fault, he thought, though he couldn't help but feel a little guilty. He lifted his t-shirt. Damn. A few purple bruises were already forming, stinging painfully. Jazz was brutal. But was it really my fault? He wondered, trying to convince himself. The cut on his wrist hadn't even healed, and now he had new injuries. Life was tough. After dinner, Cole sent the World Cup results to Leo and Chloe. July 3rd, Germany 4, Argentina 0. Total goals, 4. He told them he was just guessing, that they shouldn't go crazy. They both promised they were just betting a little for fun, which put his mind at ease. Leo's family owned 3 stalls at the farmer's market, and Chloe's family owned a mid-sized grocery store, so a few $100 was nothing to them. The next day, Cole slung his backpack over his chest and headed to the bank first, withdrawing $24,000 in cash. Then he went to a different state lottery office, one farther from his neighborhood. He casually told the clerk he was picking up the tickets for a few of his older relatives. The clerk didn't find it strange, and the other people in line gave him fewer weird looks when he started counting out the cash. Cole tucked the betting slips safely away and went home to wait for the 10 p.m. kickoff. Germany versus Argentina in the quarterfinals. As the match progressed, his Facebook Messenger buzzed with excited messages from Leo and Chloe. Having bet everything on this game, Cole was a nervous wreck, his heart pounding with every play. Finally, the final whistle blew. 4-0. He leaped to his feet, pumping his fists in the air. The payout for this game was lower, with odds of 5-8 to 1, but the return was still substantial. His messenger lit up with triumphant messages. Leo, all hail the prophet Cole. I am your humble disciple. Teach me your ways. You have to let me in on the next one. Please. My future with the ladies depends on you. Chloe, Cole, you're a freaking psychic. Cole grinned and typed back. How much did you guys make? Leo, a little under 20 grand. Chloe, over 10 for me. What? Cole was shocked. They said they were just playing for fun, but they must have each bet a couple thousand. There was no message from Serena. It was late, and he figured the good girl was probably already asleep. Just as he was about to shut down his computer, an idea struck him. He sent her a message. "I'll get you the money after I cash the ticket tomorrow." He deliberately didn't mention the movie. He wanted to create the impression that it was just an offhand joke, that he didn't care whether she followed through or not. Some things, when brought up, become an obligation. It's better to let them come to you. That's how you stay in control. He slept in until 9:30 a.m. It was the weekend, so his dad, Mark, was off work. Cole could hear him downstairs chatting with the neighbors about the game. He could also hear the clacking of mahjong tiles. That was definitely his mom, Sharon. Back then, there weren't many dedicated game parlors. People just set up a table in a shady spot downstairs. In the kitchen, there was leftover stir-fried pork. All he had to do was boil some noodles and pour it on top. After washing up, Cole made himself breakfast. Full and satisfied, he slung his backpack on and headed out without even checking his messages. As he left the building, he waved to his parents. "Kiddo, be back early and be safe." Sharon called out. "Got it, Mom." A neighbor looked at Sharon with envy. "Mrs. Chun, your Cole is such a good kid." "I guess he's growing up," Sharon said, her eyes filled with a joy she couldn't hide. Ever since he'd hugged her that one day, it was like he'd reverted to being a little boy again, obedient, helpful with chores, and always ready to talk. The thought that he would soon be leaving for Eastwood University made her heart ache with reluctance. 2 hours later, Cole was at the Rockford City Lottery Management Center. A lot of people have been cashing in on World Cup winnings lately, so the staff didn't recognize him, which was good. His after-tax winnings came to $111,360, plus Serena's $2,900, which he cashed at the same time. The clerk was a bit surprised. It was rare to see someone bet so much on total goals, let alone win. Cole explained again that it was a pool among a bunch of relatives, which made it seem more plausible. This time, he didn't have to take a check. The winnings could be directly transferred to his bank card, which saved a lot of hassle. After receiving the money, Cole wasn't as ecstatic as the first time. He felt calm. To the average person, over $100,000 was a huge amount of money, but it was nowhere near enough to start a real business. In 2010, Tencent's market cap was already approaching $50 billion. The world was dominated by corporate giants. The idea of using some insider knowledge to compete with them was a joke. They'd eat him alive in an instant. The road ahead was long. Quietly accumulating wealth and secretly building his own ventures was the only way. It was after 2 p.m. when he got back to Linden Creek. He withdrew $2,900 in cash and went to Chloe's family's grocery store. She was at the cash register. "Chloe, can you give this to Serena for me?" Cole didn't know what Serena's family did or where she lived. It was easier not to get involved. "Keep it simple. Why don't you give it to her yourself?" Chloe said cheerfully, grabbing the most expensive ice cream bar from the freezer and handing it to him. Cole didn't refuse. "I'm busy. Don't have time to track her down. Aren't you supposed to have her take you to a movie?" Chloe was confused. She then pulled a carton of Marlboros from under the counter. "For your dad." "No, thanks. He doesn't smoke." "The ice cream's plenty," Cole said, pushing the cigarettes away and taking a bite. "We'll figure out the movie thing some other time. I got stuff to do. Later." He turned and walked away. "Hey, Cole," Chloe called after him. "Let me know the next time you place a bet." "I'll message you," Cole said without turning back, giving a casual wave. Chloe stood there, frozen, watching him go. She felt like Cole had changed so much. He seemed more mature, more confident. If it weren't for her best friend, she'd probably be making a move herself. She glanced down at her own chest and sighed. Half an hour later, Chloe met up with Serena and explained what happened. "Oh, okay. I even sent him a message to thank him." Serena's expression was placid, but a flicker of disappointment crossed her bright eyes, and her mood sank. "What's his deal? I already agreed to take him to a movie, and now he's acting like this." Her pride and self-respect stung with a sense of rejection. It was no different than being turned down flat. "Fine. What's the big deal? I could just let him play with my fingers again if he really wanted to, couldn't I?" As soon as Cole got back to the millworks, he ran into his mom heading out to do groceries. "Kiddo, want to come with me?" Sharon asked, holding a canvas tote bag, her eyes full of hope. "At your service, Your Majesty." Cole grinned and took the bag from her. Sharon's face lit up. Mother and son walked out together, her arm linked through his, basking in the envious glances of their neighbors. It was rare to see a mother and son so close. Most teens wouldn't be caught dead so near their parents. People constantly greeted Mrs. Chun and threw a compliment Cole's way, which delighted her to no end. Cole watched his mother's expressions, a mix of warmth and heartache filling him. In his past life, by the time she was 50, she had looked worn down and old. It wasn't until after dinner that Cole finally opened his laptop and checked his messages. A message from Serena. There's no rush on the money. When did you want to see that movie? That one was from the morning. There was another, sent more recently. Are you going to be busy? I did promise to take you to a movie. Thinking of her soft little hand, Cole felt a flicker of temptation, but he immediately suppressed it. He brazenly replied, Actually, yeah, I'm a bit busy. I'm planning to brush up on my English so I can read international finance books in college. It was complete nonsense. Most of those books had translations, but in 2010, the obsession with learning English was real, so his excuse wouldn't sound out of place. Her profile picture was grayed out. No reply. Cole pushed the thought of chatting aside and started surfing the web, trying to absorb as much current event information as he could. Half an hour later, Serena replied, Oh, okay. Smiley face. Cole ignored it. 10 minutes later, another message came through. Do you need a partner to practice your spoken English? Cole still ignored it. His status was set to invisible. His philosophy was simple. The key is to keep her guessing. A push and pull. Never let her know if you're all in or about to walk away. In his jaded past life, he had learned that lesson inside and out. After waiting a full hour, Cole sent a deliberately cocky reply. I'd better study on my own. You smell too good. I get distracted. If he had said something like that before, it would have just been creepy. But now, things are different. A little playful teasing was just what he needed to get her wrapped around his finger. She replied almost instantly. Oh, okay. Meanwhile, in the district apartments, Serena stared at the chat window, a shy smile unconsciously gracing her lips. So that's what it was. He wasn't blowing her off. She leaned down and sniffed her shoulder. Do I smell good? I can't smell anything. She sniffed her hand. There was a faint scent, probably from her hand lotion. Staring at her long, slender fingers, she drifted off in thought. So when will he be done being busy? Still, he's so driven. He just graduated, and he's already thinking about studying. He's completely different from other guys. On July 7th, Cole went to yet another lottery office. He bet on the July 8th match. Germany 0, Spain 1. Total goals 1. Odds 4. 2 to 1. Stealing himself, he put the entire $110,000 in. He paid by card. The office had a machine, so there was no loud cash counting to draw attention. Cole's heart pounded with anxiety. He was terrified the outcome might change. His rebirth was itself the biggest variable of all. He shared his prediction with Leo and the girls again, but this time he warned them not to bet much. A small win was better than a big loss if things went wrong. This would be the last game he'd share. Guessing right twice could be a coincidence. 3 times would be harder to explain. He didn't want to be treated like some kind of freak with supernatural powers. The game started at 10 p.m. Cole watched, on edge, through every agonizing minute. Thank God, the result didn't change. Cole let out a huge sigh of relief. It's in the bag. The next day, he was back at the Rockford City Lottery Center. The staff looked at him with open astonishment as he came to cash in yet another winning ticket. This amount was still not enough to cause a major stir. Just yesterday, a betting syndicate had cashed in a ticket worth over $1 million, but it was significant. He opened his laptop back home to an ecstatic message from Leo. Cole, my man, you are a god. Another $20K in the bank. Haha. We got to celebrate soon. I'm buying. Cole smiled and replied, Sounds good. I'll let you know when I have some free time. Chloe. Cole, thank you so much. You're incredible. Let me buy you dinner. Cole rejected her without a second thought. Dinner's not necessary. I'm busy lately. He wasn't about to waste time having dinner with flat-chested Chloe. Serena's icon was blinking too. He clicked on it. Cole, I bet on it too. You're amazing. How did you guess that? Cole replied with a cheeky grin. I've got skills that are even more amazing. But he knew the flirtatious comment would be lost on her. The campus queen was likely too innocent to get it. Sure enough, Serena replied. Really? Where are they? Can you share them with me sometime? When are you free? In 2010, some girls were genuinely that pure. Not like later on, where you could be talking about corn on the cob, and they'd be thinking about something else entirely. Cole sighed at the thought, then shamelessly replied, We'll see. College is getting closer. I need to focus on getting ready. The class group chat was also buzzing. Kevin at Tyler. How much did you win this time? Tyler at Kevin. Don't even ask. Lost another 20 grand. My buddy lost 90. Ugh, I'm done. Hannah at Tyler. 20 grand? That's insane. You could have taken us all out for karaoke with that. Tyler at Hannah. Karaoke is nothing. Anyone who wants to go, just say the word. Leo at everyone. What's so glorious about losing money that you have to brag about it? Maddie. Leo, he's got money to burn. That's chump change to him. The chat exploded as everyone piled on. Leo, fed up, went offline. Cole smirked. Good. Lose more. It's not like his family's gravel pit couldn't cover it. He decided to add some fuel to the fire. Puffed. Losing that little is nothing. I've got a friend who lost 300 grand without blinking. What you lost is pocket lint. The group chat went silent. Cole has a friend that rich? Everyone in the chat couldn't help but think back to how Cole had acted that day. Tyler, I don't believe a single word you're saying at Cole. Cole, whether you believe me or not is your problem. You're the last person who should be talking about credibility. You still haven't made good on your promise. Maddie, what did Tyler promise you? At Cole, don't go making things up. Leo, whose icon had been grayed out, suddenly reappeared. Tyler made a bet that day. If Cole scored over 630, he'd eat shit. He's been stalling ever since. If you don't believe me, ask Serena and Chloe. They were there. Class group chat. Maddie, Serena, and Chloe remained silent. It was too embarrassing to comment on. Tyler's icon was now gray. He logged off. Cole grinned. That was a line best delivered by Leo. It had more impact. He said goodbye to Leo and logged off himself. He had no interest in sticking around to help them all get rich. After closing his laptop, Cole was feeling fired up. He excitedly opened a web browser, a certain urge taking over. Damn, what were those free porn site URLs back in 2010? Just as he was racking his brain, the door swung open. Only one person ever entered without knocking. Jasmine, get up. I need to inspect your computer. She grabbed Cole's left ear and yanked him upwards. Cole yelped in pain, forced to rise with the pull of her hand. He grimaced. That hurts. Why you always pull my ear? It's gonna get deformed. Jasmine ignored him, sat down and grabbed the mouse. She clicked open the browser history, then the bookmarks. Nothing. Next, she opened my computer and meticulously went through the files on every single drive. She found nothing. Jasmine's eyes filled with suspicion. Her roommate had told her that teenage boys definitely look at certain things. Why can't I find anything? She had already come to terms with what happened last time. It was normal for boys to have those reactions. But she was worried it was triggered by looking at porn. Looking at porn was absolutely not allowed. Experts said watching porn seriously harmed one's mental and physical health, which is why she had come over immediately to conduct an inspection. Cole stood behind her, smirking and making faces. He was secretly relieved he hadn't remembered any of those URLs. He would have been caught red-handed. The woman was overbearing, but what could he do? She had jurisdiction. Even if she chased him around the apartment, his parents wouldn't intervene. So, what are you looking for, Jazz? Cole asked, feigning innocence. None of your business. Jasmine snapped, opening the recycling bin next. Oh, Cole pretended to be hurt. Looking at the long, pale nape of her neck, an idea sparked in his mind. He leaned forward, pretending to look at the screen with her. Her light, fresh scent, probably face cream, filled his senses. To his disappointment, she was wearing a tube top today. Seriously? Treating me like a stranger. Cole pouted internally. Jasmine felt his breath on her neck. She whipped a hand back and, with unerring accuracy, latched onto his ear again. You're thinking bad thoughts again, aren't you? She accused, turning her head to glare at him. Their faces were only 4 inches apart. Her fresh, clean scent washed over him. Her glistening, ruby-red lips were right there. Cole swallowed hard and, on some devilish impulse, puckered his lips. The next second, smack! A hand slapped him across the mouth. Ow! Cole clutched his mouth on the verge of tears. That's what you get for puckering. So ugly, Jasmine said with disgust, letting go of his ear. Tonight, you're coming out to dinner with me. A few of my friends are coming. And remember, don't tell them you're my brother. And wear new clothes. I bought you some. They're in the living room. Go change so I can see. Okay. Cole winced, his mouth throbbing. He had to act again. He'd played this part once before, during her freshman year winter break, but he'd been a naive kid back then and hadn't been very convincing. On the wooden sofa in the living room was a set of clothes and a shoebox. A white Nike t-shirt, gray, casual shorts, and a pair of white sneakers from the same brand. He changed in the bathroom. They fit perfectly. He walked back into the room. Jazz, I'm changed. The moment Jasmine turned around, her eyes lit up. Damn, you look good. Cole was nearly 6 feet tall, with a solid build that filled out the clothes well. He was already handsome, with sharp features and a clean, energetic haircut. Now, with the soul of a battle-hardened, successful, if lecherous, man inside him, his gaze was as calm as still water. To Jasmine, he simply radiated a mature, sunny charisma. She couldn't help but think, this little bastard is going to be a heartbreaker. Nope, I have to help Mom and Dad keep him in line. Barely passable, Jasmine said coolly. It'll have to do. Come here. She pulled a small box from her purse. An early back-to-school present for you. Put it on. What is it? Cole eagerly took the box, recognizing it as a watch case. He opened it. Wow, a solar-powered, waterproof Casio G-Shock. Nice. This thing had to be $400 or $500. He excitedly strapped it to his left wrist, admiring it from every angle. It really suited a handsome guy like him. Jazz, you're the best. Oomph. You're just realizing that now. Jasmine sneered. A gift this amazing deserves a thank you kiss, Cole said, shamelessly leaning in. A fragrant hand pressed against his face, stopping him. Kiss my foot. Hey, what are you thinking? I was just overcome with gratitude, Cole said, his face a mask of innocence, though internally he was cringing. He'd deny his real intentions to the grave. Jasmine went back to her messaging, while Cole preened in front of the mirror. Around 5:30 p.m., Jasmine logged off. Let's go. Okay, good. As they were heading downstairs, they ran into Sharon and Mark returning home. Aunt Sharon, Cole, and I are eating out tonight. I'm having him join me and my friends. Okay, honey. Be safe, sweetie, Sharon said with a loving smile, her eyes lighting up as she took in her son's new look. Watching the two of them walk away, Sharon nudged her husband. They look good together, don't they? It would be wonderful if they ended up together. They're already family. Yep, an older woman is a treasure. Let's hope your boy is smart enough to win her. The sun was setting, and the houses on either side of the street blocked the sweltering heat. Cole and Jasmine strolled leisurely toward the mall. The millworks was only about a half-mile from the Creekside Galleria. Today, Jasmine wore a black dress with a knee-length, sheer black overlay. The short skirt underneath offered tantalizing glimpses of her pale, white legs. Paired with crystal-heeled sandals, she looked ethereal. They drew a lot of attention. Every so often, Jasmine would pull Cole aside to avoid a passing car. They chatted and laughed about her adventures in college. Just then, a black Volkswagen Passat approached from behind. It wasn't moving fast, and in the back seat, a girl with a cool, pretty face recognized Cole instantly. Her calm expression fell, replaced by a shadow of gloom. She pressed her face to the window, watching him until he was out of sight before slumping back in her seat, completely lost in thought. The man driving, in his 40s, was handsome and stern, his deep-set eyes holding the steady calm of a seasoned administrator. He glanced at the girl's reaction in the rearview mirror. What is it, Serena? See a classmate? Yes, Dad. For a second, I thought I was mistaken, Serena said, startled. She quickly composed herself, but her heart was in turmoil. A sour feeling she had never experienced before welled up inside her. So much for being busy. You're out strolling around with another girl. She felt wronged and furious. The man glanced in the rearview mirror a few more times, but said nothing more. His daughter was clearly troubled. He'd have to find some time to talk with her. The Creekside Galleria in Linden Creek had only been open a year. It was the busiest, most modern spot in the whole county. The fourth floor was the food court. Jasmine led Cole to a Sichuan-style hot pot restaurant. Cole inwardly grimaced. Hot pot in the middle of summer? Were they trying to sweat out toxins? At a table by the window sat two guys and a girl, all looking to be in their early 20s and dressed fashionably. The guy sitting alone was handsome, with gold-rimmed glasses that gave him a refined air. When he saw Jasmine, his eyes lit up, and he immediately stood up and waved. Jasmine, over here. His gaze flickered to Cole, and his expression darkened for a second. Jasmine just gave a cool, smiling nod. The other two were clearly a couple. They greeted Jasmine, and her attitude toward them was slightly warmer. Their eyes darted curiously toward Cole, but they didn't greet him. Cole took it all in. He knew the score. Someone was trying to set Jasmine up with the guy in glasses. But the seating was awkward. It was a four-person booth. Jasmine, sit, glasses guy said, eagerly pulling out the chair next to him. Thanks. Jasmine smiled, then grabbed Cole's arm. Cole, you sit. I'll just grab a chair for the side. She pulled over a chair from a nearby table. Cole didn't hesitate, plopping down right next to glasses guy. He even smiled at him and said, thanks. The guy's face stiffened, but he maintained his composure. Jasmine, and this is? He asked, trying to sound casual. Oh, this is my... Jasmine trailed off, leaving the relationship ambiguous. But to the other three, the meaning was crystal clear. He was her plus one, her boyfriend. Hey, everyone, I'm Cole, he said with a cheerful smile. Jazz hadn't introduced these people, which meant they weren't important enough to know. They were probably just acquaintances she knew through some obligation. To be honest, he didn't like them. They seemed pushy and lacked basic manners, focused only on getting what they wanted. They had clearly arranged this to get Jazz to play local host and then take glasses guy sightseeing. Jazz wasn't happy about it, but she didn't want to cause a scene, so she'd brought him along as a buffer. Fine, he thought. I could be the bad guy. Trying to make a move on my Jazz. Not on my watch. Glasses guy's expression was stiff. He forced a laugh. Nice to meet you. The other girl looked at Jasmine in surprise. Jasmine, you never told us you were seeing someone. We grew up together. We only just made it official, Jasmine said with a shy smile. That's right. Childhood sweethearts. Practically grew up in the same crib, Cole added shamelessly, taking Jasmine's hand in his. Wow, so soft, so smooth. Jasmine didn't pull away, but 2 roses of color bloomed on her cheeks as she secretly dug her nails into the back of his hand. The other 3 were speechless. They hadn't missed the subtle gesture, and their faces looked like they'd just swallowed something foul. Glasses Guy managed 2 weak laughs before falling silent. The atmosphere became intensely awkward. All right, let's eat. Let's eat. They've already brought the food, Cole said, taking charge and gesturing for everyone to start adding ingredients to the bubbling pot. Jasmine immediately played along, picking up a slice of lamb, dipping it into the broth for a perfect 20 seconds, and then placing it in Cole's bowl. You expect me to get myself? Feed me, Cole demanded, pushing his luck, acting like a spoiled brat. All right, I'll feed you. Honestly, Jasmine grumbled, secretly stomping on his foot under the table. The other 3 were stunned. Was this the same fiery, quick-tempered Jasmine they knew? So gentle. The meal was tasteless for the trio. They spent the whole time watching the lovebirds' sickeningly sweet display. Cole, on the other hand, was enjoying being waited on. The real kicker was when he took the chopsticks he'd just eaten with, picked up a piece of beef, and held it to Jasmine's lips. This normally proud, domineering girl actually leaned in and ate it, even making a little slurping sound. Glasses Guy's face grew darker and darker. The girl across from him, sensing disaster, kicked her boyfriend under the table. He got the message and said with a forced smile, So, what's your take on the stock market this year? The market? Cole raised an eyebrow. What's this? A pop quiz? Jasmine's face remained impassive. Did it matter if her little brother could handle it? Not at all. If he made things uncomfortable, it was the perfect excuse to leave. Glasses Guy, however, perked up. Yeah, we like to dabble in stocks in our free time. You know anything about that? Oh, a little, Cole said, a smirk playing on his lips. If he were a real high school kid, he'd be totally stuck. He wasn't an expert on the stock market, but he had studied it. In his past life, he'd researched it extensively, not to trade himself, but to be able to talk shop with clients. Is that so? Glasses Guy chuckled, his eyes filled with disbelief and contempt. Well, given the recent market crash, what do you think is the cause? You trade? Cole asked, not answering the question directly. He wasn't going to just play along. Of course, Glasses Guy said, a hint of arrogance in his voice, as if he were already standing on higher ground. Then what kind of impact do you think the government's real estate regulations from earlier this year and the Eurozone debt crisis will have? Cole pressed. Glasses Guy was momentarily stunned. He knew about those factors, of course, but he hadn't delved into them deeply, preferring to rely on rumors and tips. I have a general idea, but not a thorough understanding. Could you elaborate? He said, unwilling to back down. He wanted to hear what this kid had to say, so he could find the holes in his argument. Cole saw right through him, but he didn't care. This was a performance for Jazz. He cleared his throat, adopting the posture of a seasoned professor, and began to break down the 2 major factors. He started with how real estate controls led to a drop in steel prices, then moved on to monetary policy, and then to the country's rapid economic growth, which triggered an expansion of production capacity. He went on, weaving a grand narrative. After a while, he abruptly stopped. The next part would have been about which stocks were about to rise, and he didn't want to share that. He looked up and found all 4 of them staring at him, dumbfounded. What? Awestruck? Cole asked, his face blank, not a hint of pride. He calmly picked up a piece of food from his bowl. It didn't matter if he was showing off or not, as long as it made Jazz look good. Dude, that was a brilliant analysis. Keep going. What happens after the production capacity expansion? Glasses Guy's previous coldness vanished, replaced by an eager excitement. He grabbed Cole's hands. Huh? Cole was taken aback. What's this? Aren't you supposed to argue with me, to mock me? You really want to hear more? Yes. Not only Glasses Guy, but even the neighboring table chimed in. Yeah, kid, keep going. You guys seriously want to hear this? Cole asked again, genuinely surprised. He glanced around. Damn, everyone was looking at him, nodding and smiling. Were these people all gambling addicts? Totally. Your analysis is so logical. I love this stuff. Glasses Guy nodded emphatically, as if he'd completely lost interest in women. He yelled to the waiter, Waiter, 3 more beers, and another plate of lamb. Well, I guess I could try to analyze a bit more. Seeing the mood, Cole decided to just go with it. Fine, let's do this. Time for a real performance. Let's see if Jazz still thinks of me as a kid after this. Everyone nodded eagerly. Glasses Guy diligently poured Cole a beer. Cole scanned the room and began to speak with the confidence of a seasoned pro. Production capacity expansion means capital expenditure. I'm sure you all know that. That means the machinery and equipment sector will likely. The iPhone 4 is already out. It won't be long before it hits the market here. The electronics sector might see. And as the national economy grows, so does household income. This income is a lagging indicator, meaning its consumption growth cycle follows just after the economic growth spurt. Sectors related to the public, like healthcare and food and beverage, could potentially. His words had everyone nodding, their eyes shining with contemplation. What could be more exciting than making money? After covering a few sectors that were likely to rise, Cole stopped. Going further would be revealing too much. The group was left wanting more, feeling like they had gained a massive insight. They were standing still, while Cole was speaking from a high point in time. Suddenly, Glasses Guy asked another question. Dude, have you heard of Bitcoin? Bitcoin? Cole froze, a glint of sharp light flashing in his eyes. Holy crap, I completely forgot about that. For a moment, he was overcome with excitement, his expression shifting rapidly. But there were other people here. He couldn't talk about this. The stock market was one thing, but this was something he would never discuss publicly. Not really familiar with it. Glasses Guy was slightly disappointed. He had a feeling this kid might know something. He'd heard about it from a classmate studying abroad, but hadn't dared to try it. While this lively discussion was happening, at a large round table against the far wall, a certain cool-headed girl was watching Cole with a resentful gaze. By sheer coincidence, she was at the same restaurant, having dinner with her father and some relatives from out of town. Her back had been to Cole initially, but as his voice grew louder, it sounded familiar, and she turned to look. It wasn't just her. Her father was watching too, and they had both heard every word. The analysis wasn't earth-shatteringly profound, but for it to come from a kid who couldn't be more than 20 was astonishing. Where did he get such deep insight? The middle-aged men at Serena's table exchanged looks of approval and amazement, murmuring to each other. When Cole's group finished their conversation and their meal, Serena's party paid their bill and left. At that moment, Cole was casually answering a few more questions from the group. Suddenly, a cold chill ran down his spine. His whole body tensed. A familiar, slender figure appeared in his line of sight. She walked past Jasmine's chair, her face a mask of indifference, her chin held high like a proud swan. She didn't spare him a single glance. Cole's heart sank. He looked over his shoulder to see Serena joining the group of middle-aged men and walking out of the restaurant. One of the men seemed to look back at him, his gaze meaningful. It's over. His grand plan to have her wrapped around his finger was probably ruined. Wait a minute. What was he afraid of? He and the school queen were a couple. She had no say in who he hung out with. With that thought, Cole instantly felt at ease. What is it? Do you know her? Jasmine's eyes narrowed. Huh. Cole felt a prickle of fear, but kept his composure. She's a classmate. She probably didn't see me. Oh, she's very pretty, Jasmine said flatly. After a bit more small talk, the dinner party broke up. The two guys, who had started the evening with cold hostility, were now practically begging Cole for advice. Their attitudes completely flipped. Neither of them were professional traders, just followers of trends. The predictions they'd heard tonight were enough to make them look like geniuses in their friend circles. On the way back, Cole, how do you know so much? Jasmine couldn't hold back her curiosity any longer, her eyes sparkling. I was just guessing. I like to read up on that stuff in my free time, Cole said with a grin. You did well, Jasmine said, a smile gracing her pretty face under the glow of the streetlights. Yeah, I know a lot more than that. Since I did so well, don't I get a reward? Cole said, getting cocky. Jasmine didn't answer. As they walked into a dark stretch of road between streetlights, she suddenly spoke. Lower your head. Huh? Oh. Cole didn't quite process it, but he instinctively obeyed, ducking his head. A fragrant breeze washed over him, and he felt a pair of soft lips press a light kiss on his cheek before quickly pulling away. There's your reward. Cole was stunned, and then his baser instincts took over. It's rude not to return a gift. Let me give you one back, Jazz. He leaned in. Smack! A hand slapped him across the mouth. Ow! You hit me again. Cole clutched his mouth on the verge of tears. The pain was excruciating. You're never up to any good. Jasmine glared at him. Wah! Cole fake cried, trying to look pitiful. But Jasmine was too smart to be fooled. She saw right through him. Cole gave up and walked on obediently. A few steps later, an arm slipped into his. It was dark here, with no streetlights. You'll meet a lot of people in college, and face a lot of challenges. You need to keep a good mindset, you hear me? Jasmine's tone was bossy, but her words were laced with concern. I know, Jazz. In a few days, I'm going with my mom to my grandma's for a while, and then I'll head straight to school from there. So I won't see you for a long time. So you want me to be gone, is that it? Jasmine's temper flared, and she twisted the soft flesh at his waist. You know perfectly well I'm at Eastwood Tech, which is just a few steps away. Huh, a few steps? Oh, wow, that hurts. I meant that every day without you will feel like a year, Cole said, trying to sound deeply sincere. But Jasmine wasn't buying his performance. She twisted harder. Where did you learn such cheesy lines? Tell me. Ouch, for real, it hurts. It's the truth. My sincere feelings. I didn't learn it anywhere. Cole begged for mercy, but refused to admit he was just trying to be smooth. Oomph. Jasmine finally let him go, a strange light dancing in her eyes. Her voice suddenly turned gentle. Don't mess around at school. You hear me? A lot of girls are very calculating. You'll get hurt. If you meet someone you like, you have to bring her to me for approval first. Cole groaned internally. This whiplash of hard and soft was impossible to navigate. He couldn't tell what was genuine and what was a test. But he answered obediently. Okay, I know, Jazz. His eyes darted around. But what if some girls try to tempt me? I'm afraid I won't be able to resist. What are you trying to say? Jasmine stopped walking, her eyes full of suspicion. I just think. You'll need to help me build up my resistance from time to time, Cole said, his face a picture of pure sincerity. Jasmine thought back to the time he groped her, but a blush crept up her cheeks as she studied his expression, but it was too dark to see clearly. She started walking again, pulling him along. After about 10 steps, she spoke softly. If you behave, I'll be on my best behavior, Cole promised, secretly celebrating. Jasmine sighed. Once he was at college, if she didn't look out for him, who would? She told herself she was just doing it to save her godmother the worry. She could make a small sacrifice now and then. She held his arm until they reached the entrance to their complex, then let go. They went their separate ways. Lying in bed after a shower, Cole couldn't sleep. It wasn't a woman on his mind, but Bitcoin. In 2010, Bitcoin was just starting out, its price incredibly low. But for now, the most important thing was to cash in on the final World Cup game. He needed capital. He couldn't put everything into Bitcoin. He had to set some aside for other investments. At 11 p.m., in the district apartments, Serena stared at Cole's profile on her computer, her expression conflicted. Should I ask him or not? And if I do, on what grounds? But if I don't, I feel this strange, inexplicable unhappiness. He had looked so handsome today, and he knew so much. She bit her lip, hesitating. He already played with my hand like that. It should be okay to just ask, right? She opened the chat window, typed, deleted, typed again, and deleted again. This went on for a long time. The next morning, after finishing breakfast, Cole opened his laptop. The first thing he saw was Serena's blinking icon. He clicked it. Cole, your girlfriend is really pretty. The message was sent at 12:30 a.m. Cole blinked, then typed back. That's my sister. I was just taking her to meet her friends. It wasn't a lie, he thought slyly. That's exactly what happened. Not 5 minutes later, Serena's icon blinked again. Oh, so that's your sister. She really is beautiful. Cole replied. Yeah, I was just having dinner with her. By the way, very pretty too. At the same time, in the district apartments, Serena, with faint dark circles under her eyes, smiled. The feeling was like walking out of a blizzard and into a warm house. At 18, her innocent heart only had room for happiness and unhappiness. She went to the mirror. Oh no, dark circles. She needed to put a warm compress on them, fast. She hurried to the bathroom. That day, Cole didn't go anywhere. All his thoughts were focused on the final lottery payout. On July 10th, he went to the farthest lottery office he could find. He bet on the July 11th match. Germany 3, Uruguay 2. Total goals 5. Odds 7. 5-1. He gritted his teeth and invested the entire $370,000. The lottery office owner gave him a strange look, but didn't say much. It was the biggest single bet his shop had ever taken. The card machine was silent, so the other customers had no idea such a huge wager had just been placed beside them. With a heart full of dread, Cole waited anxiously for the 10 p.m. game. He prayed over and over, please be right, please be right. Every second of the match was torture. Finally, a header from Germany's Khedira scored the third goal, bringing the score to 3-2. But there was still over a minute left. Cole was so tense he bit the inside of his cheek, his fist clenched. Uruguay, don't you dare. But just as the game was about to end, Germany committed a foul, giving Uruguay a free kick. Oh my God, it's over. A wave of pure